Hello. Thank you everyone for coming here. My name is Kundana Palagiri and this is TJ. TJ and I are from the Microsoft Education team and we are going to talk about from classroom to backroom and everything in between. So before we start, how many of you are from school IT, representing schools? Oh, that's great. And how many of you are from the ISV application side? Sys ISV apps? Nobody here. Okay. Well, it's great to have you guys here. This is my first Ignite on education, so I wasn't really sure what to expect in terms of audience. But before we start, let's do some context setting. Because we have some ITs and we have some other folks as well. Let's set some context on what we are doing to do. Because a lot of times, if you talk about Microsoft Education, people ask, what is that? Is that something to do related with licensing? So yes, there is licensing, but there is a lot more than licensing. So if I could ask you all to just think about, spend a few seconds and think back in time and think about your school, bring that picture of your school, your class teacher in mind. This is mine from early 80s. But if you can think about that for a second and think about the teacher standing in front of the room and the students around, right? And then if you look at today, it's really amazing how little has changed. It's still very similar. But if you walk into a classroom and spend some time in the classroom, you will realize that things are different. The teacher now uses, teacher and students use a lot of technology now. The teacher uses email, calendar. The students use applications for math or reading. There are applications like, the teacher uses applications like closed class dojo for enforcing behavior. So as you spend time, you'll notice that things have been changing. Not just in classroom, but in backroom as well. So if you go to the IT office, right, things are changing as well. Sure, you have your friendly administrative staff, which is great. But we also have school IT now, managing the devices, apps. That definitely was not there, back in this picture, right? So as more and more teachers, IT school leaders rely on technology to bring 21st learning skills into the classroom, right? So we will continue to see this adoption of technology. So that is the context for our talk. We talk about what's happening in the back room, what's happening in the classroom. In that context, let me also introduce you to Microsoft Education. For those of you who are not familiar with this platform, this is Microsoft Education encompassing a suite of solutions. In fact, just yesterday, Microsoft 365 was announced, which is a combination of Windows and Office 365, Minecraft, and also we have Enterprise Management Suite. So basically Microsoft Education, which is a platform where Office 365 is one of them, is given for free for students and teachers. It's built on 4 fundamental pillars, which is basically enabling a better environment for better learning outcomes. Affordable devices is number 2. The third one is very crucial, modern tools for classroom collaboration. This is where a lot of innovation is happening in terms of classroom collaboration. And finally, experiences that spark creativity, creating and sharing content in brand new ways. We'll talk about, look at these in detail. Let's summarize with what's been happening on the Microsoft Education front. So back in May, there was an event in New York City where Microsoft announced a rich set of features and solutions for this school year, back to school 17 school year. Here is a summary of few of those, not everything. We have made available devices. Affordability is a big push there in the school. So we have devices, lower price devices, Windows 10 as a safe operating system. We've also announced Microsoft Teams in education for collaboration. We will spend quite a lot of time looking at that today. We have Minecraft for education with Code Builder, hugely received, learning tools, and also the ecosystem of applications has been lighting up with more and more applications available both for teachers and for school IT. And on the IT side, we have school data sync, which is, we'll talk about it again. School data sync is a very, very core platform piece that brings in data from various SIS into the Office ecosystem. We have Intune for education, for managing devices, and finally, in the store, availability of applications for IT. So, all right. So, in terms of our session objectives, did I click a long trigger? Okay. So, we are going to talk about, we just looked at the summary of where we are. We'll talk about what's new in backroom first, and then we'll talk about what's new in classroom, and then as a partner, what are the opportunities to integrate with us. If you are coming from a school, what are the opportunities for your ISVs to come and integrate with the Microsoft platform. Before we talk about why should a third party application, there are so many third party applications out there, why should they integrate with Microsoft Office 365 education platform. Let's talk about why is this important. So Office 365 and Azure Active Directory are the two fundamental core pieces of the Microsoft education platform, and together these two provide three key value propositions. Number one is identity solution. So no IT or ISV wants to spend time and resources building a comprehensive identity solution for schools. That problem has already been solved. The second one is back-end school data integration. The apps that students and teachers use are only effective if it knows who is using it. Am I a teacher? Am I a student? What are my relationships? Right? So having this data enriches the application. And the third one is classroom collaboration. So more and more classrooms around the world now have a digital presence, a hub, where students and teachers get together for collaboration. And having hooks into these hubs for apps and resources makes it even more engaging for students and teachers. So these three together, what they do is they lower the cost for application developers, saves teachers time, and enables again the ISVs, application developers, to focus on application innovation. For those reasons, we have continued to see a growing ecosystem of applications in the Microsoft Store for Education. These are just a few examples. All right. So with that overview of what Microsoft Education is and what the extensibility platform is, I'll give it to TJ to talk about some of the back-end solutions that we have enabled for schools.
Cool. So as Kundana said, we started from a foundational point. We'll talk about Intune as an application that's kind of built on top of School Data Sync in this piece. But basically, School Data Sync was kind of one of the first pieces in the suite we really focused on. What School Data Sync is again a foundational piece. It's an Office 365 for education admin experience that's built in, that's able to connect to your SIS and bring in what your SIS masters, which is the roles and relationships of the school, to really empower Office kind of at a foundational level. That means that we can bring first-party apps and ISVs and third parties can come in and consume that same data and really kind of empower an app ecosystem. It's really what makes Office 365 education for education, in my perspective, because that data is now in there. You can go and you'll see your classes as teams and groups in Office, and you can act on them. So we went worldwide GA with it back in January 2017, localized per region. The data is where you expect it to be in the EU data center. All other customers reside in the US, China and Germany coming soon sometime. We got to work out more details there, but we're very dedicated to making sure the duty of care, everything else is respected. We spend a lot of time as the School Data Sync team interfacing with other groups in the company to help align other Office products around the concept of education and different standards, things like FERPA, right? Groups have to be hidden, little things like that make a big difference. And we've invested strategically in deployment and consulting around this. So we have a group of about, I think, 8 to 10 at this point in the US in our Fargo office that just do nothing all day but focus with customers on getting this set up and getting things configured right with you. And we'll help you for a pilot, we'll help you through to production, we'll help you the next year when you have to roll over. The URL's up here on the screen, aka.ms STS signup if you haven't seen it or if you want to learn more there. But just think of School Data Sync as we talk here as a very foundational piece that a lot of other things that we're talking about here are built on. The School Data Sync platform is really, as I said, we're bringing in that roster data, the roles, relationships from your master. We're empowering Office, the core Azure Active Directory. So we're really kind of ETLing in, if you think about it, the extensions on the core AD. So now students and teachers are decorated with things like what grade level they're in, which gives you a pivot and perspective on a student of, who's in the 4th grade, who's in the 5th grade, who's in the 4th or 5th grade at this school. They'll become very important as you think about app usage scenarios. We empower Office, we empower Intune for Education is a great example. Teams is another one, third-party apps, and your apps and scripts. So think about how just leveraging or pivoting on this data can empower things like PowerShell scripts that you use in your environment every day. Having your classes pre-imported, having your school relationships imported in there. And I'll go back and talk about one more foundational reason we created School Data Sync is imagine out in the app ecosystem. I work a ton with partners, and what we heard over and over again as we were doing this is that if you're a partner and you're approaching the educational ecosystem, there are probably 100, 200 CISs in the US market alone, 400 globally, right? A lot of them are state by state segmented, private school, public school markets. All those CISs kind of have that data that we need. They all store it differently. They all have different APIs to approach. Think about the dream of SaaS is bringing a concise, functional piece of functionality right to your classroom. Maybe it's 2 teachers went off and developed an app. How are they going to bring that into the classroom? How are they going to use SSO with it? How are they going to use that roster data? They have to break down that barrier of integrating with all these CISs, and it really becomes impossible. The math is staggering on how many proprietary integrations are maintained and invested in by vendors, and that just raises costs for you. So we, as Microsoft, we felt this was something we can empower Office with, and it turns out it's working, right? I mean, we've across 30 countries now in deployment. We've encountered about 95 different CISs or MISs that we work with. This is bringing data in through connectors that work with CSV, which is kind of the de facto standard, hopefully to move everybody kind of into the 21st century here with API. So we now integrate with One Roster API, so we're One Roster certified 1.1 REST consumer, and we're asking all of the CISs to kind of join us on that journey. So that makes it easier and easier to connect in this data, kind of unlocks the data, makes it open and free, and then and then using it, right? Using that data is why we're doing it, right? So Intune for Education is a great example of a first-party app that we've kind of built on top of this. So of course, when you license Intune in an education tenant, you get Intune, but then you get the Intune for Education experience, which really simplifies enrollment, deployment, gives you that zero-touch management, shared device management. It's really designed for education. So it uses those pivots. Like I want to give this app to the 4th grade, right? That we now empowered Office with. So Intune is. There's a few screenshots here. I encourage anybody who wants a full demo. There is, there's a booth out there for Intune for Education that you can sit and kind of delve in with this, with folks and talk about licensing, talk about, the exact, usage of all these menu items. But I just wanted to kind of, have everybody kind of grok what this means, the empowerment of that School Data Sync data behind this as foundational piece, and what can be done with it. So Intune is a great example of an app that can be implemented over that data that's really empowered by that role and relationship data, and makes it just really easy for you to deploy apps to machines and manage your environment with Win 10.
We have an Intune person in the room, Ari.
Oh yes, Ari, sitting right there. There we go. So this is again just another screenshot here, but just that idea that an app can really just be kind of drag and dropped onto a machine, so to speak, and the easy provisioning of machines for the school versus simple AD enrollment, because it knows all this, it can just kind of light it up, and the app's know where to go is the basic message. So let's talk about, so that's an example of a backroom app. Let's talk about how SDS powers the classroom, right? So it's again bringing that student-teacher roster information to AAD, powering front-end classroom apps, and again, our mission here was to bring that with no cost, right, for the school or the ISV to do this. So another issue we saw in the ecosystem is that with approaching all these APIs, engineering investment from all these ISVs, it just increases costs, right? So we wanted to break down, we want to make this kind of fundamental, like expected, right? That this data with identity, role, and the relationships around classes is just there, for these things to use. And then, the power of that for an ISV approaching, or for you, for your own app development and script development, right, is that, Office education, you look at the apps that we bring to the table, collaboration and communication apps like Planner, Skype, the management in the classroom, class notebooks, Microsoft Forms that have, specific EDU scenarios that we're implementing as first party. And then student empowerment, and through the productivity suite, like Sway and other innovative apps that really have landed well in education. That's all built. The Office suite is really a collection of all these apps together. But the one beautiful thing that we've done is brought them all together through the Microsoft Graph API. So that means from that user, app plus user or app only context that you obtain, that user token that you obtain through SSO or through single sign-on, or that a vendor can obtain, you can also access all the APIs, with consent and permission, of course, inside of your tenant. But that's all framework we supply that gives them access to all of these, services and features down below. And then all of our first-party apps can leverage the data as well. So like when you go into Planner, you see all your teams, whether it be class teams or PLC teams, right? When that's kind of our mission internally is to align all the apps around that group and collaboration ecosystem around teams, and ISVs can join us. And they don't have to build an email server, and they don't have to build a voice and video at scale, and they don't have to build in IDP at scale, right? It's all there for them to use, and they're storing data in OneDrive where you want it, etc. So basically, that's where School Data Sync comes into play, is really kind of providing again that foundational data and letting the apps consume it as part of Graph API. So there's a number of scenarios here. There's for everything I just said there's so many areas we can go into. We're going to focus on the top three here. Single sign-on, setup for class roster, how apps use that, and how they're able to leverage it. Teams as a collaboration hub. Kandana is going to take us through the team scenario and a little bit more on that because it's an important and deep area. And then rich assignments and easy grading, right? This connectivity we have, saving teachers' times, like bridging workflows, kind of integrating systems together seamlessly, so you're not going in and out of different apps to do your work. Some other things, all these things are kind of gone into depth in our Dev Center, which we'll have some URLs for later on. And the last two items are definitely things you can dig into a little bit on your own. And then we have some other, I think there's other presentations today around on other pieces of Office, like OneNote and other things. But the first thing we're going to go into. So I want to talk a little bit more about classroom solutions and this idea of EDU web apps, right, enriched with raster data. So the main scenarios we see out there, I think we've heard loud and clear from the IT community is that, if we were to talk to you a few years ago, your goal was same sign-on. Now it's true single sign-on, right? I want users to be able to get seamlessly into apps and between apps, right? So bringing all your vendors to the table to do that is a challenge, right? But we're here to help with that. So, the desire here is one set of credentials for students and teachers that work with all of my apps across the school and all of my devices. Easy access for apps I need for my classes. Have it there first day of school when I walk in and it works and keeps working. My apps, and they want apps to know who they are, the classes they attend or teach. That kind of foundational data we talked about. It's expected. And what I need to do when. So SSO and rostering, those are core principles again. Admin consent, right? This idea that you can grant permission to these apps. You're controlling the data that they get access, for security and privacy in your environment. Vendors you trust, vendors you want to try or pilot. You're controlling which data fields even flow through in SDS. SDS gives you a kind of an on-off switch for things like birthday, You may say, oh, I don't want that ever to flow to an app, so just turn it off. Or I have the Happy Birthday app, so that would be a real bummer if I turned it off, so turn it on. So you make that decision in your environment. But again, whack schools, whack teachers, whack students, whack classes, whack class rosters, that's what we're bringing to bear in the Graph API. And then things like diff query and other things that vendors find particularly useful. So I'm going to flip over here and I want to show you just really quick like what an app might look like that does this.
It's not flipped over yet.
Oh, it hasn't? Wake up.
Let's see. I think there is a PowerPoint mode that we need to exit.
There we
you
go.
go.
Thank you. Basically, I've logged into Office 365 here as Jessica Taylor. Jessica is a teacher persona. Office knows she's the teacher. I now have an app here that has, well, let's go into Teams first here. Teams as Jessica. We have our Jessica's classes were already there. These were imported with School Data Sync. School Data Sync brought these classes in, pre-set them up there in Teams. So when Jessica logged in on the first day of school, the classes she teaches, her science curriculum classes are there with their memberships, and she can start, kind of adding notebooks, doing everything we can do in Teams, which Gandana will go over in a moment here. But basically, what I wanted to show you is that a partner app kind of built. Right, so most partner apps might have their own login built in today. They do their own kind of standalone thing. They can now really kind of bridge over to leveraging AD to authenticate users and then actually access this data. So what I've done here is this is a sample app. We have this out on our public GitHub to deploy and look at if you want. But basically, I could log into this app. If you notice, it did a single sign-on, a true single sign-on there. When I clicked login as Office, it picked up my token from the browser and just flipped the authentication straight into the app. That's approachable via OpenID Connect is the technology there. I know Jessica teaches for Contoso High School. I can access her classes. I see those same 3 classes that I saw here in Teams kind of highlighted. So I can not only, I've given this particular app permission scopes to access the whole directory so they can see all the classes out there in case the app does something like let Jessica kind of, substitute teach in a class or whatever the app might be doing. So we do allow them to access the whole directory if you consent it. But then they can also focus. They can tell which classes Jessica actually teaches. And I can drill down into one of those classes and see the roster, right? And then if you remember that slide I had up with everything that's in the Graph API, being able to access conversations and mail and documents and the OneDrive and other things, or do something specific that the app would do, like create a seating chart, right, for Jessica. But this view into class documents is the exact same one that Jessica would see if she logged into OneDrive or went into Teams files. And conversations are the exact same conversations she would see if she went into Outlook in Office. So basically in looking at students here, I'm going to add another teacher just to kind of show you that this is live and working, but if I add teacher in Teams, and I'm going to find Rick White here and add him. So Teams has now added Rick to the roster as an owner, as a teacher. And when I jump back over to the app here, the ISV app I added here, you'll see Rick just showed up as a second teacher. So this really is the same foundational data and the same APIs that we're eating our own dog food under our hood of our first-party apps that ISVs are able to approach and use. All right. So should I start at the deck here or switch back?
Okay.
Switch back.
All right. Okay. Thank you, TJ. Okay, so so that was really very powerful, right? Like seeing how all the data comes and feeds the applications, and so that's one very crucial piece. Most schools we work with or ISVs we work with, the starting point is always do single sign-on, solves a lot of problems and get the roster data. From now on, from there, if you want to move a little bit more into the classroom space, right, so we have a few solutions there, both opportunities for data integration and also for the UX integration. And we'll spend a little bit of time looking at two of these. One is Microsoft Teams. How many of you in the room have seen or used Microsoft Teams? Cool. And have anyone played with the Teams in education? Okay, cool. For those who are not familiar or who have not heard, back in May when we did the big EDU launch, we announced Microsoft Teams in education, which is basically the enterprise Teams, but with an education interfaces to it. So there are Microsoft Teams for education. It looks, underlying is still the same, but it's been built as a creative and collaborative hub for students and teachers. So it has things like, it not only has your files, your conversations, but it also has things like class notebooks that's built into it. We'll see that in a minute. It also has an assignments feature, for teachers to quickly create an assignment and provide it to students. Assignments is built into it. And as TJ was mentioning earlier, right, like everything is backed by the APIs. So if again you are this third party application that wants to consume this assignment data, or a student planner app that wants to consume all the data, assignment data, and show it in a student planner, the APIs are available. So quickly looking at Teams. So when you use Teams in education, there are a few options. Again, this is something you will see in the education version only, not in the enterprise crew. You can create a class team, a team for staff, a professional learning group. So there are a few options here. And as TJ was showing earlier, once the team is created, the data within that team is automatically populated by SDS. So here we have created, I'm showing a screenshot of a team that's already been set up. So here, we have the teacher here logged in as a teacher, and there are a few classes that have been set up for her with data populated. So you have the conversations, files, class notebook, and assignments. So here I've moved to the assignment tab, and staying here, I can create an assignment that gets distributed to all of my students. So I can create an assignment, set the due date for the assignment, and I can also attach some reference materials to my assignment, and then I can assign it to my students. So when I log in as a student, here's what my view would be. It shows what's due in this week coming up as for me. So pretty neat user interface. So yeah, going back to that assignment, so the students can continue to work on assignments, attach reference materials when they're done with their assignments to this year. So they're not leaving the application, staying within the application. They can complete the assignment. And once they submit the assignment, there is a life cycle here. It goes back to the teacher. The teacher can do grading of the assignment. This is a feature that's called quick grading. A lot of teachers really love this feature. You can select the student here. You're staying in the window. It's like speed dating. Quickly check the name of the student, the assignment pops up, do the grading. So most of the teachers we showed this love this feature. So these are some of the core features. We have a few team sessions today going on. I encourage you to go and look at them more. We briefly covered this, but again going back to that extensibility point, right? So we not only have all these features available for ourselves, we also have enabled it for applications, third-party applications. So again, I'm going to quickly switch back into the demo mode to show Teams. So here is my Teams education. So this has been loaded up with the data that's created by SDS, and I have all these my classes set up here. So I'm going into my world history class, and you see here conversations is built in, files built in, class notebook is also built in here, and then here is my assignment. But one additional thing that Teams enables is this ecosystem. So we work with a lot of ISV third-party publishers to create applications or take an existing application and make it available for Teams. So if you as a teacher, as an IT, go into this and select a tab, you can see a few applications here. I have already preloaded some of the applications. Let's look at those. So for example, okay, let me not this one. So if I go here and see, Kahoot is an example. So Kahoot is a, not sure if you're familiar, Kahoot is a game that teacher and students can play real time. Teacher posts a question on their device, students can answer, and you can see the score there. Right. So Kahoot was built by Kahoot team as a Teams tab, and it's in this case the teacher has added here, and they can say play here, right in this environment, and then they can play the game. So many more, the ecosystem is growing, whether it is lesson plan applications, assignment applications, gaming applications, they can all be brought into this hub of Teams where it's right in front of students and teachers. Okay, going back to our slides. So Teams provides various integration points. The three key integrations would be creating a tab. Basically what we showed, Kahoot, you can add a tab. You can create a bot. This is again very powerful. So using Microsoft bot framework, you can create a bot. Examples would be conversation as a service. You could have we have a bot app in the Teams ecosystem called Busu, and it teaches Spanish. Every day you can start interacting with the bot. It will ask you a few questions and you answer it. It will start grading you. So conversation as a service using Microsoft bot framework. And then the final one is kind of a connector. So basically connector is a notification mechanism. So if things are happening outside of Teams, right, so it's very common for schools to have their own LMS application, and if a teacher posts an assignment in the LMS, it can be notified back into the team. So that is just an example of setting up these hooks. If there's another hub there, these two hubs can notify. So very straightforward integrations, and since the launch, which is May, we have been seeing a growing ecosystem of ISVs interested in doing this. The next one I want to quickly show is Class Notebook. How many of you have used Class Notebooks? Okay, a few. So Class Notebook is a very well loved classroom solution. So it's this digital binder. Basically what it creates is a space for students, for teachers, and a common space for content creation and for working. It also is a very rich editor, because it supports ink and pen features. It's a very rich editor for doing assignments. And as TJ was mentioning earlier, the connectors back to LMSs. So scenarios where if you have an assignment, if the school has an assignment and the students finish their assignment in the rich editor environment of Class Notebook and submit it, we have connectors set up from Class Notebook to, like today, 45 plus LMSs, where the grades can be automatically posted back into the LMS. So all of that integrations are also available. So we work with these LMS solutions to provide these hooks. So here's a little animation which shows what Class Notebook does. So, three things: collaborative space, content library, student notebooks. And if you have not used it, it's if you have an Office 365 education tenant, really straightforward to get started. Create a Class Notebook, create an assignment. The copy features, transferring the assignment from teachers to students is actually really very straightforward. The teachers, schools that use Class Notebook really love it. We've heard a lot of positive feedback from it, and the user base keeps growing. We're really happy about that. And on the ISV side as well, as I mentioned, so we have about not all of them today. We have 45 here. I don't know how up to date this slide is, but this list keeps growing. What these solutions do, basically, there are two ways you can integrate Class Notebook. If you have an LMS solution, you can pull Class Notebook into that LMS using LTI integration. So the instructions are over there. The second one is assignments and grades. So you can create an assignment in Class Notebook and get that replicated in your LMS, and once that the connection is established, the grades can flow from Class Notebook to Teams and vice versa. Sorry, LMS.
Yeah, I'll mention really quickly, it's not just LMSs, it's also gradebooks.
That's right.
So a lot of the courses, there are gradebooks, and really, if you think about this feature, teachers just love it. They fall off their chairs when they hear this, because there's no more going back and forth to a separate gradebook.
Yeah.
That's what they love about it.
Yes, thank you, TJ. So that that sums up the things that we wanted to show. Of course, there are a lot of things that can be done here. We really highly encourage you to go to our website and look at it. So if you are a school, we talk to your ISV vendors and tell them to connect with us for these integration points. Everything in the platform is for free, and we have, as TJ mentioned, we have teams, onboarding teams to help them support. So if here are two getting started points. If you are from school, the first link is for you to learn about what is available, and the second one, if you are an ISV who's interested in building applications that integrate with the platform, the Dev Center is a getting started place. That's all we have for now. Any questions? We left some time for some Q&A. Yep.
Interested in how, so I see students and teachers as roles, right? And then I see teams, which in my world might be a cohort. Your example was a class.
Sorry to interrupt. They're recording this. If you don't mind coming to the microphone. Yeah.
My name is Wells Hatch. I work with City Air, and we do student supports in classrooms. And what we find is that there are multiple roles, both in the school and in our own organization, which very often defines access to PII and other data. So I'm interested in how a third-party app would either pass roles to this environment, or to what extent or experience you guys have had with sort of defining different roles in an organization beyond student and teacher.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're working toward. I mean, student and teacher were the logical starting points, and we got a lot more work to do. So we're looking at roles, particularly when you kind of cross the boundary into analytics, another whole piece there, right? You have district level, school level, right, state level even. So we're looking at all that and considering, parents, I think, is the one we've been kind of begged for next. So that's likely, where we'll go and make it a more formal role in the system. But understand with all these things, the depth of questions in our work with other teams is usually like, what does a license look like for that person? What is not just permissions. Most apps nowadays, you can grant them directory permission, and they're doing their own filtering or their own handling of those role cases. And a lot of different apps have some specialty roles that they manage. So yeah, we'll grow there. That's what we're looking at, is what are the important ones. But we'd love to hear from you on what, where would you go next? What are the important roles? Is it a list this long, or is it one or two that are really needed?
Yeah, send us an email. I'm definitely interested in learning more about this scenario.
Yep.
No worries.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? I think I'll add one more call to action, right, to this, is the joining these two together. Let us know and let your ISV know, right, that we'd like to work in this framework with them. So there's nothing makes us happier than an educational institution pointing us to an ISV and saying, hey, those guys, I need them integrated with SSO and I need them integrated with rostering. That would really, really empower the app and make my job easier. So absolutely, ping us with any ISVs or set up a call between us if you want. We're happy to talk with them. We have a lot of help available for ISVs to help you out.
So you say point you to an ISV. What's the process for that?
We have so there's a sign up form that SDS sign up we have a kind of a root page for this that we left when we first did SDS, sds.microsoft.com. I think that was in one of the slides, or it's in here. You can point your ISV to the Dev Center. They can certainly get started there. But if you go to sds.microsoft.com, there's a form there, for ISVs as well, that you could fill out and tell us about it. We'll give you a call back if you fill out that form. As a matter of fact, in the SDS onboarding process, part of what our team does is really will be a survey of you for the ISVs you're using to make sure they're on our list. And actually, we build some customer momentum from that, because if we have 100 customers and we see the same ISV appear for all those 100, we can go to this ISV and say, hey, we have 100 common customers. Let's go work for them.
Where can we see a list of the ISVs that are already working?
That are in the pipeline. So if you go to our Microsoft store, we have all the applications that these ISVs have created, but we have a few more that are in the pipeline. But if again, starting with that education page will take you to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I have a few of my cards here if anyone wants to have, follow up, send some questions or connect us with ISVs.
Are you guys putting your deck up somewhere people can get to?
I don't know what the process is. This is recorded and it will be available. The deck might be available. We have submitted our deck.
Yeah, we uploaded it with conference materials, so if there's
Yeah.
a general site out there for tonight to get the decks afterwards, it will be there. But otherwise, grab a card and we're happy to
you can grab
to
a
share
card
it.
and email me.
Any other questions? Well, great. Thanks,
All right.
everybody, for coming, and feel
Thank you
free
for
to come
joining.
and talk with us. Make sure and check out the Intune booth, and Ari's out here still if you have any questions specifically about Intune licensing and functionality, and Microsoft Teams, I think, has something to show out there as well.